My Weird School Days, Book Number 1. Mrs. Dole is Out of Control. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 4. Everybody Loves Bonbons. The next morning, we had to go to the all-purpose room for an assembly. Mr. Klutz got up on stage with Officer Spence, our school security guard. Officer Spence was wearing a fireman costume. Today, we're going to learn about fire safety, Mr. Klutz said. Officer Spence is a trained firefighter. Fire is very dangerous, kids, said Officer Spence. Does anybody know what you should do if your clothes catch on fire? I raised my hand, and Officer Spence pointed to me. If your clothes catch on fire, I said, you should buy new clothes. Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Before you buy new clothes, said Officer Spence, you should stop, drop, and roll. Watch this. Officer Spence did the most amazing thing in the history of the world. He poured some stuff on his fireman costume. Then he took a lighter out of his pocket and set himself on fire. Officer Spence's fireman costume was full of flames. Stop, drop, and roll, shouted Mr. Klutz. Stop, drop, and roll. We all started chanting. Officer Spence threw himself on the ground and covered his nose. Then he rolled all over the stage until the fire was out. Officer Spence makes no sense. He told us that we shouldn't go home and set ourselves on fire. We learned all kinds of other stuff about preventing fires, too. Like you shouldn't ever set your brother or sister on fire. When we got back to class, Ryan's mom was waiting for us. Ryan hid under his desk. Andrea's mom was waiting for us, too. Andrea sat up even straighter than usual, if that's possible, and folded her hands so her mother would know how perfect she is. The two PTA moms told Mrs. Daisy that the class had a surprise for her. We all went to our cubbies to get our presents. Then we lined up and put them on Mrs. Daisy's desk. I got you a box of bonbons, I told Mrs. Daisy. Hey, I got her a box of bonbons too, said Michael. So did I, said Emily. Me too, said Neil the Nude Kid. It turned out that just about everybody in class got Mrs. Daisy bonbons. That's a lot of bonbons. Thank you so much, Mrs. Daisy said. You know how much I love bonbons. Everybody loves bonbons, said Emily. Why don't you open a box right now? Michael suggested. Oh, I really shouldn't. I'm trying to eat healthier, Mrs. Daisy said. Well, maybe just one. Andrea's mom passed out bonbons to everyone. While we ate them, Mrs. Dole went to the front of the class. Part of my job as PTA president is to plan your graduation, she said. You're going to wear caps and gowns, and there will be a guest speaker and a big cake, and you're going to get diplomas, and is all that really necessary? Asked Andrea's mom. With all due respect, the children are just moving up to third grade. Just moving up to third grade? Mrs. Dole said. This is an important milestone in the children's lives. Our babies are growing up so fast. Soon they'll be off to middle school. Before we know it, they'll be in high school. Then they'll be going off to college and I won't see my little boy anymore. Mrs. Dole started sobbing. Ryan looked like he was gonna die. I thought his mom might tell more stories about Ryan peeing, but she just blew her nose in a tissue and blubbered something about how much we grew since we were in kindergarten. Andrea's mom rolled her eyes. I don't think she likes Ryan's mom very much, but she can't do anything about it because Ryan's mom is the PTA president and she's only the vice president. Finally, after 1,100,000 hours, the PTA moms left. Is my mother gone? Ryan asked. Yeah, I told him. You can come back up now. Chapter 5. Getting ready for the big day. It was the last week of school, so we hardly learned anything. That was fine with me because learning stuff is boring, but it was hard to concentrate. I kept thinking how in a few days we would be off for the summer. Mrs. Daisy wasn't concentrating either. She had a new hobby, knitting. She pretty much sat in the back of the room knitting while Ryan's mom helped us get ready for graduation. Sometimes Andrea's mom came in too, but she spent most of the time rolling her eyes. Boy, she sure rolls her eyes a lot. Eye rolling must run in Andrea's family. We had to do all kinds of stuff to get ready for graduation. Did you know that when you graduate, you have to wear a weird cap on your head that's shaped like a square? Nobody knows why. Mrs. Dole asked our art teacher, Miss Hannah, to help us make the caps out of construction paper and cardboard. Miss Hannah also helped us make graduation banners and signs to decorate the hallway. On Thursday, Mrs. Dole had us march from the gym to the playground behind the school, so we would learn how to make a grand entrance for our parents. She made us practice over and over again until we got it right. Did you ever heard of the graduation song? It's this song they always play at graduations. Mrs. Dole asked our music teacher, Mr. Loring, to play that song on accordion while we marched around the playground. He told us the real name of the song is Pomp and Circumstance, but nobody knows why. The song doesn't have words. It goes like this. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. It's a dumb song, if you ask me. Songs are supposed to have words, so I made up words to the graduation song. They go like this. I'm graduating. There's a square on my head. Why is there a square on my head? Because I'm graduating. You repeat that over and over again. While we were marching around the playground, I taught the words to everybody. Soon the whole class was singing. It was cool. Then Mrs. Dole told us to knock it off. Practicing for graduation all morning was boring. I couldn't wait for lunch. Finally, after 1,100,000 hours, Mrs. Dole said it was time to go to the vomitorium to eat. I sat at a table with the guys. Michael tried to juggle his tater tots. Neil the nude kid put cookies over his eyes. Ryan let us pour salt on his tongue. Andrea and her annoying friend sat at the next table talking about girly stuff, like what color dresses their dolls like to wear. What are you guys doing over the summer? Asked Ryan. I'm going to sleepaway camp, said Neil. I'm going to football camp, said Michael. I'm going to cooking camp, said Ryan. My family is going to rent a house at the beach, I said. I didn't ask Andrea what she would be doing over the summer. She was probably going to learn her multiplication tables, so she would be smarter than everybody in 3rd grade. Andrea was sitting there all quiet. I figured she was still mad because her mom lost the PTA election. Are you still mad because your mom lost the PTA election? I asked her. No, Andrea said. I'm worried about Mrs. Daisy. What about her? Asked Emily, all concerned. Haven't you noticed? Andrea said. Mrs. Daisy has put on a lot of weight. She's getting fat. It must be all those bonbons we gave her, said Neil the Nude Kid. She's probably eating a box every night, Ryan said. That's not good for her, said Emily. It's all your fault, Arlo, Andrea said. You were the one who thought of giving her bonbons. Why is everything always my fault? I didn't force Mrs. Daisy to eat so many bonbons. What is Andrea's problem? I wish a truck full of bonbons would fall on her head. Chapter 6. The greatest day of my life. Finally, it was my favorite day of the year. The last day of school. Yay! After we finished pledging the allegiance, Mrs. Daisy had us sing Happy Birthday. But it wasn't anybody's birthday. We sang Happy Birthday to the kids in our class who have birthdays over the summer. Like me, it is totally not fair that my birthday is in the summer. That means my mom can't bring in cupcakes for the class. Bummer in the summer. We didn't learn anything all day. Mrs. Daisy had us clean the junk out of our desks. I found a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the back that had been there for months. There was green stuff on it. I offered Ryan a quarter if he would take a bite of the sandwich, but he wouldn't. Then we had to take our posters and artwork off the walls so we could bring them home. The artwork, that is. We couldn't bring the walls home. That would be weird. Mrs. Dole came in and passed out yearbooks that had pictures of everybody in the whole school. We spent most of the morning signing each other's yearbooks. I wrote a little note in each one, like, see you in 3rd grade or summer rules. Andrea asked me if she could sign my yearbook. I didn't want her to, but Mrs. Dole was watching, so I let Andrea sign it. She wrote, I'll miss you, Arlo, above her picture. Ooh, Ryan said. AJ let Andrea sign his yearbook. They must be in love. When are you gonna get married? Asked Michael. If those guys weren't my best friends, I would hate them. Will you sign my yearbook, Arlo? Andrea asked all sweetly because she knew Mrs. Dole was watching. This is what I wrote in Andrea's yearbook. I won't miss you if I throw a rock at you. That's mean, Andrea said. So's your face, I told her. Even though I hate school, I had to admit the last day was kind of sad. Mrs. Daisy told us that over the summer, she and Mr. Mackey were going to move to a bigger house in a different town. She wasn't sure if she would come back to elementary school in September. Mrs. Daisy got all sniffly and had to blow her nose in a tissue. That made the girls get all sniffly too. Girls get sniffly real easy. Nobody knows why. I kept looking at the clock, waiting for it to be 3 o'clock. But it was only 1 o'clock. Then it was 1 minute after 1 o'clock. Then it was 2 minutes after 1 o'clock. Then it was 3 minutes after 1 o'clock. The clock moves really slowly when you watch it. For a while, it looked like the hands were moving backwards. Me and the guys threw crumpled up paper at the girls, but Mrs. Daisy told us to knock it off. After 1,100,000 hours, it was 2 o'clock. Isn't the word o'clock weird? What's up with that? Me and the guys counted down the hours, the minutes, the seconds. Every second took a minute. Every minute took an hour. Every hour took a week. It was the longest day in the history of the world. I thought it would never end. But finally, the little hand was on the 3 and the big hand was on the 12. You know what that means. 3 o'clock. The bell rang. We all went to hug Mrs. Daisy and then we bolted for the door. We were free. Me and the guys ran out the front door like prisoners escaping from jail. Everybody was yelling and shouting and jumping. No more pencils, no more books, no more teachers' dirty looks. It was the greatest day of my life. Except for one thing. But I'm not gonna tell you what it was. Okay, I'll tell you. But you have to read the next chapter first. So na 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 boo boo on you.